Our special welcome to today's guest, who is well known to us and who has been associated with us in different capacities for the last 20 years, I can say. Vijay Kumar sir. I extend my welcome to our chair, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, Executive Director, officials from Andhra Pradesh government, students from Asian College of Journalism, and my colleagues from Chennai, Odisha, and other field sites. So Dr. Vijay Kumar sir, don't want any detailed introduction, but we would like to mention one important point, that Professor Swaminathan's brainchild, MKSP, Mahila Kishan Sashaktikiran Pariyojana, the program was nationalized in the year 2010, and Vijay Kumar sir only sent that letter to all states to implement that quickly. He served that letter in November 2010, if I am right. He was the Joint Secretary at NRLM at that time. Sir is now Executive Vice Chairman for Raitu Satikara Samastha, Government Corporation for Farmers Empowerment, and he is also ex officio Special Chief Secretary to Government and Natural Farming with the Department of Agriculture and Cooperation with the Government of Andhra Pradesh. Sir is a 1983 I.A.S. cadre, and he has 40 years government service with both state and central government, and he spent 28 years in large-scale community mobilization and promotion of livelihoods of rural women, tribal communities, and farmers. And he was first mission director for NRLM and with the government of India, and he has taken his SERP experience at national level and motivated states to implement such activities at the national level. With this brief introduction, I request sir to take this stage. Thank you, sir.
Is the presentation being shared? Yes. Gopi? Oh. Thank you very much. Chair Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, Executive Director Dr. Hariharan, Rangalakshmi, and Gopi, and happy to see young people. So, because it's all about you, and my colleagues, Mr. Ramarao, Lakshman Nayak, and Swati. Ma'am, it's an honor to be here. And morning I got blessings of Professor Swaminathan, so my day is made. What I will do is I'll have a presentation on what we are doing, but in the discussion session, I would also like to know how MSSRF and we can work together in many areas. I think there's a lot of possibilities. And since he referred to MKSP, I was just telling ma'am that we were really surprised that the work came to Ministry of Rural Development rather than Ministry of Agriculture. But one way it was good because Ministry of Rural Development had started the National Rural Livelihoods Mission for empowering women self-help groups across the country. And almost I spent about 6 to 9 months in consultations. And I was greatly helped by, in all these consultations in NIRD, in Delhi, MSSRF team gave its inputs. We got inputs from many organizations at the grassroots level as to how we should take it forward. And I'm happy to say that Ministry of Rural Development takes this very seriously. And I think even in scaling up natural farming, Ministry of Rural Development through the National Rural Livelihoods Mission would be very happy to take it forward. So today I'll spend some time in explaining what we are doing and why this is important. And before my presentation, I am really grateful to the foundation for selecting me to be the awardee of Swaminathan Sir's Environment Protection Award. I'm really indebted to all of you for this honor. And now I'll take you through what we are doing in Andhra Pradesh. So the Andhra Pradesh community managed natural farming is meant for farmers' livelihoods, health of citizens, planetary health, and securing our common future. Yeah, this you know already. We have multiple emergencies, one on the farmers' livelihoods, the other on the or food plate, whether it's scarcity, chemical residues, heavy metal contamination in food, and also lack of micronutrients and trace minerals. And then the one which concerns us very much is the soil degradation, water stress, global warming. I think the UN Secretary General has now been forced to call it global meltdown, hoping that people will take it more seriously. I think nobody was listening to the word warming, so he's now up the ante to say it's a global meltdown, decreased biodiversity, water and air pollution. So these are multiple crises which are becoming worse on account of the climate emergency. And this is something which I think most of you will be knowing, that there is a soil emergency in the country. According to the United Nations, worldwide there is a loss of 24 billion tons of soil every year, but India loses 5 billion tons of soil every year. So with 2.2% of the world's landmass, we are losing 23% of the soil that is lost in the world every year. So that means we are desertifying faster than the rest of the world. And water situation equally serious. With 16% of the world's population, we have 4% of the world's freshwater supply. Then 70% water is used for irrigation worldwide, but in India it's 84%. So you can see the stress on domestic uses of water and other uses of water. So we also need a new water paradigm. We need a new soil paradigm, new water paradigm. And this is the increase in fertilizer consumption and decrease in efficiency of fertilizer use. So from 1970 to 2016-17, from 13 kgs per hectare, in 1970 we went up to 130 kgs per hectare. And in Andhra Pradesh now it is, in 2022-23, it's somewhere around 230 kgs per hectare. And this is a study from UK, I'm sure similar studies elsewhere. They studied whole range of foods and said level of every nutrient in almost every kind of food has fallen between 10 and 100%. So 100% means some nutrients have disappeared. So since the nutrients have disappeared, we have to buy in form of capsules. So zinc supplement, magnesium supplement, we had not heard of these names, till COVID struck us. So then we realized, okay, all these are important, so they are not there in our food, so we have to take it in the form of supplement. So this is a kind of severe decline in the nutritional integrity of the food that we are eating. And this slide is important because the food systems themselves are now the biggest cause of climate change. So while farmers are victims of the climate emergency, at the same time, our method of farming is the biggest cause for climate change, and that's the irony. And many of these have been ever since agriculture started, say 10,000 years ago, whether it's deforestation, forest fires, burning of crop residues, ploughing itself, keeping lands fallow, overgrazing, excess irrigation, water erosion, wind erosion, and over the last 60, 70 years, the use of synthetic chemicals has accelerated this. So this is the irony. Farmers are victims of climate emergency. At the same time, the way we are doing farming is causing climate emergency. So can farmers be the heroes? Can we solve this entire climate emergency, the associated problems, with the involvement of the farmers? And we believe very strongly that yes, and that's what we should be doing. And so that's why we say farming in harmony with nature is a solution for the multiple interrelated emergencies. All of them are interrelated. So if you have a solution, it should be a solution for all of them. It's not different solutions for different pieces. So farming in harmony with nature, mimicking the principles of nature, in our opinion, as I will show in my next couple of slides, is what makes a solution possible and a solution that is being shown on ground. So it's basically leveraging the power of photosynthesis in plants to close the carbon cycle and build soil health, crop resilience, and nutrient density. You all know this, photosynthesis is the basis of life. And in the photosynthesis process, solar energy enables plants, particularly the leaves, to split carbon dioxide and water to form food, carbohydrates, and oxygen is the byproduct. But of the food the plant makes, 40% is used by the shoot, 30% is in the roots, and 30% of this food is exuded into the soils. So what they call the photosynthetes, so the root exudates. And why would a plant with great difficulty make food and push 30% into the soil? And this is the reason. And the basic belief in natural farming is that you do not need any exogenous nutrients, neither synthetic chemical fertilizers nor organic fertilizers. Everything is there in the soil, in the air, in water. What is lacking is the soil biology which makes this come together. So this 30% of the food which is being pushed into the soil and also 30% of the root mass basically becomes food for the microbes. And 1 teaspoonful of good soil has about 7 to 10 billion microbes. And the other interesting thing which I came to know is, even as on date, as we speak, less than 1% of these microbes have been characterized. So our entire theories are based on that 1% that we have characterized. So all of you have been told that you need legumes to provide nitrogen. But that's not true. Every plant fixes nitrogen. But since the scientists figured out there is a rhizobium bacteria, there are nodules, so they think that's the only way to fix nitrogen. Any plant having green leaf means it's fixing nitrogen. So what is unknown is not even known. So as of now, they're saying less than 1% is known. And what viruses do in this process, nobody knows. So that is the next frontier that hopefully scientists will have to cross. But the essence of this slide is that all nutrients are available, whether it's nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, 30, 40, 50 nutrients that a plant requires. Some in large quantities, some in traces. So if this works efficiently, every plant will get all the nutrients it requires in the right quantities and at the right time. So both are important. So how well this process happens holds the key. And if this is done well, then you have efficient nutrient absorption. That means whether a plant requires 40 or 50 or 60 or some require 35, they are made available. Then the second, so one is about the nutrients, the second is about the water cycle. So this process also fixes the water cycle. So it creates a good soil structure, and since carbon is actually getting into the soil rather than getting out of soils, so 1 additional gram of carbon in the soil enables additionally 8 grams of water to be bound. So the water holding capacity of the soil increases, and carbon is actually bound in the soil. So this is what happens to the soil structure. Good quality soil means 50% by volume should be air. So then only you will see, the right side. So good soil biology enables water infiltration, water holding, and the third element, which I'll elaborate a little later, is a very unique breakthrough in Andhra Pradesh, which is a global breakthrough. It is natural farming enables plants to harness water from the air. In tropics, air has up to 50,000 parts per million of water. So it's like 10 rivers of water flying over your head all the time. So the research we attempted was, why can't we plants harness a few drops of that every day? And that is what we succeeded in, and that has huge implications. And so based on the science, based on what I have just explained, so we evolved these principles for natural farming. And so the first one is very simple, that keep the soil covered with crops throughout the year. That means if you maximize photosynthesis, that means you are maximizing the food that is getting into the soil and then activating soil biology, and then you get all the dividends. But the second one is equally important. We don't want monocrops, because then they'll be signaling only to the same kind of microbes and there'll be competition. So diverse crops. So the greater the diversity, the better, and also having trees in landscape again adds to this diversity. So these two are the core principles. Maximizing photosynthesis so that the root exudates and then the triggering of the microbes happens, and ensuring there is diversity. Third is to keep the soil covered with crop residue, otherwise we are oxidizing the soil organic matter, and we are also heating up the soil if direct sunlight hits the soil. So keep the soil covered with crop residues. Fourth is not to disturb the soils. Minimal tillage, and it goes counter to a typical farmer's image of the plow or a big tractor. So, but science says that you should not disturb, because every time you disturb the soils, you are breaking the soil structure which the microbes have put together with such great difficulty. The fifth is very important. Farmers' own seeds to be used. Indigenous seeds are preferred. And farmers' own seeds, this is something which is evolving science. About 12 years ago, scientists in Australia, they found this phenomenon that's called now rhizophagy. And in US, it's a lot of research happening. Professor James White is very, very famous for this. So what they found is that the microbes are not just outside the root, they are inside the roots. So they are called endophytes. So they are inside the root, inside the stem, branches, leaves, flowers, fruits and grains. So every seed has a core microbiome. So 5 to 10 billion microbes are there in every seed. So that means the plant is not depending on anybody. It's bringing its own, not only the genetic material, not only the proteins, fats, carbohydrates, it's also bringing its own preferred set of microbes. So the whole discussion about nature and nurture needs to be redefined. So there is a role for nurturing. So the plants are selectively taking the microbes that they want. So we don't have to spend some, God knows how many millions of dollars or crores of rupees in discovering some magical seed. The plants are doing it all the time. They are injecting microbes which will help them. So in drought areas, they'll inject those microbes which enable them to flourish in droughts. In a flood area, they will inject those microbes which make them resilient to floods. In saline areas, so own seeds which have gone through this microbial process 2 times, 3 times, the more the better. And that's why the indigenous seeds are perhaps the best seeds. Then integration of animals into farming, because the crop residue is the input to animals and animal dung is the input to what we are doing. Then the biostimulants as catalysts to trigger soil biology. So the biological material that is used in natural farming is not a fertilizer. It's a catalyst. It's just to trigger this soil biology. And similarly, pest management through crop diversity, some mechanical devices and botanical pesticides. And ninth is what I've just put in red letters: no synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides and weedicides. So we take this to farmers, these principles, and that's what gives us these results. So this is about crop diversity. This is a microbial seed coating. So this is so important to trigger the microbes in the seed and the microbes in the soil. So there's a microbial seed coating. There's a soil amendment. It's called Ganajivamrita soil amendment, which is applied at the time of sowing the seeds. And there's a liquid inoculum, again made from cow dung, cow urine, fermented for 5 days, bit of soil, jaggery, pulses flour. So this is applied after the germination, 10 days, 15 days after germination, both root zone application, foliar application. Then during the flowering stage, again there are some other formulations some people use for better flowering, better fruit setting. So as you can see, right from sowing of the seed till the harvesting, there is a kind of a biological armor which is actually talking continuously to the microbes in the soil, microbes in the air, microbes inside the plant. So we still don't know what exactly happens, but we do know what are those principles that are required to elicit positive results in this process. These are the botanical pesticides. But what we are finding now is that with greater crop diversity, with greater soil biology, the plants themselves are able to repel insects, repel pests. So after some time, we may not need these, botanical pesticides also. And this is something very interesting innovation. Mr. Nayak, who is sitting here, is really the author of this. This is the seed pelletization. So this way, in semi-arid areas, we are able to sow the seeds under dry conditions. So, in March, April, May, hot summer, even before any rains, we can sow the seed. And so this liberates the farmers from the dependence on the monsoons. And given the extreme weather conditions now, so we have to move into this. This is one of our innovations which builds on what we call as pre-monsoon dry sowing. And so those are the principles and practices. Then quickly in terms of scaling up, because our success essentially is on the scaling up. Because all that is good in theory, but how do you take it to farmers and stay with them? So we initiated the program in 2016 with about 40,000 farmers. But of course, it rests on an earlier program which fortunately I had initiated in 2004 through the women self-help groups on pest management without using synthetic chemicals. So from 40,000 farmers last year, we were able to take it to 850,000 farmers. So about 14% farmers in Andhra Pradesh are on this journey. About 2.7 lakhs, that means about 5% of farmers have actually graduated to not using any chemicals. Others are partial farmers, we call them. So transition of a farmer takes 3 to 5 years, and during which time we need to support them. So we do not provide any cash incentives during this transition, and neither do we promise that you get a premium if you enroll with us. The funds are from government. We're also been supported by 2 very large grants from Azim Premji Philanthropy and Co-Impact based in Washington. That's for our technological support. And so what are the impacts? I'll quickly go through the impacts. It's generally told that, the yields will go down, so farmers need to be given a lot of money for the transition. So we have a study published by University of Reading. They worked with us, and it's a study published saying that yields, if all the package of practice are applied, yields from natural farming are higher in the first season itself. So whatever the shortfall is, basically, some practices being applied or not properly, right? But even then, we did a random, this is an independent study. This is a Kharif 2021. And as you can see, we looked at all our major crops: paddy, groundnut, cotton, red gram, chilies. Ragi is important from the tribal perspective. And tomato is very, very much in the news these days. So as you can see, the yields are higher for all the crops, and even chilies is marginal, not significant. Costs of cultivation are much lower, and net incomes of farmers from this transition are significantly high. Similar results for Rabi, and then the other benefits, which is biodiversity. Earthworm count, for instance, went up some 8 times between a chemical plot versus a natural farming plot. And natural farming enables better resilience to floods. And our very large-scale study of our best practicing farmers showed about 50% decline in use of water. So we are now getting independent studies done by Valamtari and ASCII. And this is drought proofing, unique model which I'll show through a small film. And pest resilience. And then we have a special intervention for landless farm workers. So we have listed out all the landless families, and we enable them to have the homestead gardens. And there's also a lot of evolution in that. So around 12, 15, 20 different kinds of vegetables and fruits for every household, and throughout the year. Yeah, I just want to spend a few minutes on this because this is something very important, and this is a breakthrough that happened, and I'm very happy, Mr. Nayak, who is here, he is a prime architect, practitioner. We learned this learned the science behind this from Walter Yana, a climate scientist from Australia who supports us. So therefore, now we have 3 seasons. We have a season which starts before monsoon. We call it the pre-monsoon dry sowing. And in the case of rain-fed crops, we also have a season after the Kharif crop is harvested, after the southwest monsoon crop is harvested. And this is a field which Dr. Yana visited in November 2019. He was amazed. He told me, I've been giving this lecture for about 15 years, but you people are the only ones who have put it on ground. Before I go to that, I just want to explain what is happening to water in the world. This is a global average. So out of 100 raindrops falling on soils, only 2 drops are stored in all the major dams in the world. And all our battles are on the 2 drops. Whether it is Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, AP, Telangana, AP versus Karnataka. So all the battles are on 2 drops. There are about 12 drops in rivers and streams. 36 drops constitute what is called as green water. They have gone into the soil, they are present in the plants, and they are also being transpired. But 50 drops, nobody talks about them. 50 drops are what are getting lost through falling on barren soils and getting evaporated, and falling on compact soils, running off, taking away the top soils. So this is this big loss, and this is also contributing to global warming because of radiated heat. So through natural farming, we are enabling, once the soil becomes porous, more of the water goes inside the soil, and it's held in the soil. And through mulching, we are able to reduce the evaporation losses. So there are a lot of things that we can do instead of, depending only on the water which comes from the canals. And then there is a new phenomenon that, we find gets triggered through natural farming, and that is harnessing water from the air. The exact science is still not known to us, but we are able to reap the results of that. So that field that you saw, Walter Jena estimated that, that field, he said this is 12 to 15 tons per hectare of biomass. It has already consumed 15,000 tons of water. It's basically 1 liter of water equals 1 gram biomass. So the water received through rainfall is only 4,000 tons. So he said this 11,000 tons is the extra water that has been captured through this natural farming methodology. He looked into what are the various methods, looked at the biostimulants that as a source of water, the role of mycorrhizal fungi, but his hypothesis 60 to 80% is from water harnessed from the air. So we now are working with University of Reading, the Potsdam Institute, maybe other institutes to enable us to go deeper into the science. And I just want to show one video, 2 minutes video. Can you play from there? This first one, the UNCCD. This is a video which explains the harnessing of water from the air. Back. Stop. Come back to the beginning and just pause there. Yeah. So this is May, month of May, end of May. And as you can see, except that small patch of greenery, there are no crops anywhere. And so this is the pre-monsoon dry sowing or harnessing of water from the air that I want to show. Yeah. Now we can.
జీవామృతం స్ప్రే చేయడం వల్ల వర్షం కూడా లేకపోయినా ఈ మల్చింగ్ ద్వారా అది ఎప్పుడు పచ్చగానే ఉంటుంది, కాయ పూత ఎప్పుడు జరుగుతూనే ఉంది సార్. మాకు 25 రకాలు రోజు కోయడం రోజు అమ్మడం జరుగుతుంది సార్. రోజు డబ్బులు రావడమే జరుగుతుంది. అందువలన ఈ 50 సెంట్లు 60
Sure.
Yeah, another 2 minutes, I want you to show the second one, which was April 2023. So this is another video, hot summer. Just pause there. So this was shot in April 2023. The sowing happened in January. So it's maize plus tomato, cowpea, field beans, leafy vegetables, multiple crops. Yeah. And the farmer has taken a lot of these crops already, but you will see what is there in April. So again, as you see, this is a rain-fed plot, no irrigation. The entire horizon, there are no other fields with crops. Yeah, can you take it forward to 2 minutes? Then they'll, yeah. So you can see lush green crops in a maize field. There are tomatoes, field beans. A lot of crops have been harvested. So the ground is covered with greenery. Very healthy maize. There are about 4 cobs for every plant. So there's a lot of biodiversity in this field. So it's not just a monocrop. So the idea is to have 4 or 5 crops which will yield like the main crop, but also have another 20 biodiversity crops. This is another innovation which has come from Anantapur. Yeah, you can close this now. Then I'll come back to sharing my presentation. Last few slides. Yeah. So as I said, we do not understand the entire science behind it. It may take several decades, so I can't wait for that. We know some of these practices which are in harmony with nature work, so we are going into that. And so what started with 11 farmers in 2018, pioneered by Mr. Lakshman I.A.S, we reached out to 600,000 farmers last year, where at least for anywhere 45 to 60 days in hot summer, they kept the field green. And this year we aim to reach out to 10 lakh farmers. But of that, there was one more innovation which you saw a little bit in this maize field. Again, started in Anantapur, saying that can we not get 3 crops in a year, even in semi-arid rain-fed areas? And I know the kind of geographies you are working in, this is the problem. So we now have multiple options for those in the red soils and also in the black cotton soils. So no month should be idle. So farmers should have work every month and get money every month, regardless of when it rains, how much it rains. So this is another women farmer who 1 acre of dry soil. So this is her field in April 2021. And this is the mulching that was used in the, doing the sowing, because the sowing happened before the rainy season. And then she did pelleting. so that the dry sowing is possible. So this is a crop end of May, and these are vegetables in February. And this is the kind of incomes that she's been able to get on 1 acre of land. As you can see, the kind of crop diversity, and most of them are crops which they use for their own consumption, and the surplus is sold. But the interesting thing is, in the rain-fed areas, she gets income every month. So the full cycle is 15 months because this is the first season, so these 3 months are a minus, but then moving forward, even those 3 months she'll get money. So the first cycle is 15 months, after that every 12 months this kind of incomes come. And yeah, just last slides, since, okay, technology is fine, but how do we take it? So we have these multiple levers, we call them, the government support, the knowledge and research that we do in our, as part of our work, but most important are the women farmers, women self-help groups. And then our extension work is done by farmers themselves, most of them women farmers. So the women you saw in my presentation are also our trainers. So we have 10,000 farmer trainers in our project. 55-60% are women. So they're all best practicing farmers. They're keen to take their knowledge to others. Then we play a role of a facilitating organization. In addition, there are NGOs and CBOs. And then we have collaborations with various organizations. So around 20 lakh women are involved in our work through 200,000 self-help groups and their federations, close to 8,000 village level federations. So there's collective action, learning, financing, monitoring. Most important is moral support. Because generally when somebody is doing something different, others will laugh at her. So the group is the place which really, pats her on the back and says, don't worry, we are with you. And then this is very important for us. We have a community resource person. So 1 per 100 farmers. When I started the program, we had around 700, 800 people. They themselves have generated these best practicing farmers come trainers. It takes us about 3 years to develop a farmer trainer because she herself has to become a best practitioner and then be confident about telling others. So these two are really the reason why our program has scaled up. And then there is ICT. And this is the hand-holding support that we provide. We say we are in a village not for a project. We are in a village till every farmer has completed his transformation. Because there's a farmer journey, there's also a village journey. So we stay put till the entire work is over, and this in turn also generates a lot of farmer heroes to take it to another 30 villages, 50 villages. And the other marketing initiatives, I'll not go into it, except say that the most famous temple in our state, the Tirumala temple, they have decided to buy everything from us. So next time you go there, you'll get organic laddu, the prasadam, etc. Then we have collaborations with various global organizations because we want to establish the science behind what we are doing and also make changes wherever necessary. And of course, many of them have come forward on a pro bono basis. On their own, they want to come and work with us. We're also working with all the ICR research institutions, the State Agriculture University. And so we also decided that we should generate farmer scientists. So 1 farmer scientist in every village. So we just started this course of 4 years. So it's a graduation for farmer scientists. And we also have other research work happening. Yeah, so I'll conclude with this slide. See, the work we are doing is not only for the livelihoods, but more important is it's a very strong force in reversing climate change, cooling the planet. So just as reduction of fossil emissions is important, at the same time cooling the planet through green cover, promoting people's livelihoods, promoting nutritional support is very important. So this is my absolutely last slide, because I just want to end with this quotation: we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. So thank you for your time. I hope I have not taken too much time. I don't know, Hariharan. Okay, thank you.
So the floor is open for discussion. We can have another 10 minutes. Online participants are requested to type your questions in chat box. Okay.
Yes.
Use this mic, please.
Sir, I was just wondering, when we were in school, a lot of our education or exposure towards industrialization in farming that came, it highlighted how it's good because it is contributing to a higher yield, which in turn is contributing to higher profits for the farmers. Have you seen this being a basis for a general resistance against natural farming across the country during the course of your program?
Yes, of course. But then you saw that, where we had to put only 10 kgs per hectare, we're now putting 20 times that. So how does it contribute to the economy? See, it's like this. Based on the science that was known at that time, that was the best method. But as new science develops, and as we are becoming aware of the kind of losses in soil organic matter, see, the country over the last 70 years, we have lost almost 40 to 50% of the topsoil. Thar was not a desert 6,000 years ago. Sahara was not a desert 8,000 years ago. Those are all savanna lands. So we are one of the oldest civilizations and we are losing soil very fast. So that should awaken us. So you see, when a new paradigm emerges, so we'll have to go into that. So there was a crisis, there was a solution at that time. And then Professor Swaminathan himself warned us, how many years ago now? 30 years ago? 33 years ago? When he said, yes, we overcome the food crisis, but we should look at sustainability. He's the one who, one sense, he did, say that you use fertilizers, but then he cautioned everybody. So as science evolves, so you can't say Newton was wrong, isn't it? So there was then Einstein came. So science moves through disruption. So this is the, reality. Like for instance, I told you about the microbes in the seed. Have you heard of it? Huh? As core microbiome in the seeds. This is a discovery about 10 years old, 12 years old. So as new discoveries come, we realize, what we know is less and less and what we don't know is more and more. So every generation has to fight, and of course I've had a lot of battles. But then the farmers were very clear, especially the women. So they said that this is something very easy for us, we don't have to spend money, and we know instinctively we are eating good food without going into the science of everything. So you say, for the farmers, I can't say climate change and all that, I have to talk about livelihoods or their health. So yes, there is still a friction, there is still, I would say, a lot of problems I face, but then that doesn't stop us. But science is always moves through disruptions. So that's the beauty of science.
Just one small follow-up to this. Do you then think then these school textbooks, which form as a basis for a lot of people's understanding towards farming and their notions also of buying products, so should that text also now change to reflect the realities that we have now?
That is true. Actually, NCRT has requested us. So we are working with NCRT, we are working with our school system to take this to the schools. The agriculture syllabus is being changed. And we ourselves are setting up a university of regenerative agriculture. So yes, these may not happen as fast as you think. But yes, these are happening. Yes.
The evidence that you were showing of higher yield, I was not able to understand the control group. What was the basic scientific methods that were used to understand, compare yield, which is what in agriculture universities, based on that only those school textbooks had taken it as a science and incorporated them. Here, when we compare, and I have seen these reports also on zero budget natural farming, I do not see that kind of a rigorous method being followed to really we can understand that when they are comparing, they are controlling for all other variables, and it is really coming from adoption of a natural farming, from a transition from a chemical to natural. So unless that is done, it's just a kind of a thing. We have to be a little cautious, because I think those experiments, lab experiments, field experiments, or what is happening in the farmer's practice, those kinds of whatever may be, those things I haven't yet to see, but if you have come across any, if you can enlighten us on that.
So what I have presented is from what is called as the socio-economic impact of this, because we look at farmers practicing conventional agriculture, whatever way they have understood. And here also farmers who are practicing natural farming, not that all of them have applied all the package of practices, but we have out of our 2 lakhs, 2.5 lakhs who have completely transformed. Then there's a random sample taken out of that, then random sample taken out of the rest of the states. So that is what you saw. But then we have a very rigorous study done by University of Reading, which compared over 3 seasons in they call it some randomized matrix, or you should know better. So they looked at natural farming, they looked at organic inputs based farming, and they looked at the recommendations of INM, university recommendations of INM. So here, this was under controlled situation. This was not farmers' practices. So this is in multi-locational trials after about 5 different locations and 3 different, after 3 seasons. So we can send you that report, you can go through that, and then you conduct it. No, I mean, there is no end to this. No, you can definitely, if there is something wrong, you can also conduct experiments. But certain things, as you saw here, they are studying. We have now, we'll be shortly signing up with our agriculture university, horticulture university, 5 ICR research stations to conduct long-term trials on all the major crops, but conduct the trials in farmers' fields. So we just signed with them. Yes, please.
Hello, sir. So my question is with the seed.
Just 1 minute. See, the traditional agriculture, ours is not traditional agriculture. The traditional agriculture looked at organic manure as a biofertilizer. So where then farmers needed to apply 10 tons, 15 tons, 20 tons, and not many farmers could do it. Whereas here, we require only 5% of that. We need only 400 kilograms of the bioinoculum. So it's just 5%. It's a trigger. So that is the difference. It's not traditional agriculture. Yeah.
So my question is with the seeds, sir. So there is a slide which shows the point like we recommend farmers to use their own seeds.
Correct.
So when we go to the field with a statement of using their own seeds to the farmers, there is two problems that we address with the farmer. One is the vigor. Like they say, like when they use their own seeds, there is a visibility, like in decrease in vigor, and also the germination percentage of the seed. So have you faced any challenge with regard to this during this program?
See, there is also a question of seed selection. How farmers traditionally select the seeds which they use for the next crop, and that is forgotten. So when you are saying use your own seed, doesn't mean any kind of seed. So the farmers know. Traditionally, the farmers knew which plants are the ones from where we should collect the seeds, and the science tells very clearly that not only the vigor, but also the nutritious quality, etc., is better if the seed has gone through a soil which is biologically rich. And we are finding very interesting results. I'd be very happy if you can, visit Anantapur. You can see crops are becoming perennial.
There is a high vigor because of this we are added this bioinaclant. Due to this bioinaclant trigger the vigor also. There is a 5 to 10 times his vigor is more than our hybrid seed or any other seeds. That one is happened in field.
See, the nature is also changing. We are getting now perennial cotton. So you don't have to sow the seed.
We are converted the seasonal into perennial. Caster and cotton and all other seasonal crops. We are continued as a perennial. That one is go to 3-4 years. Now some castor-like crop is a short duration, 90 days crop only. But in our field, that become a 3 to 4 years. They are continued.
So this is called epigenesis.
Yes.
So where the gene expression is changing based on the environment.
Environment, and due to this
Based on the microbial environment.
Microbial activity, there is a gene change also happened. There is that castor became a tree. That one has happened.
So I couldn't capture all that in my presentation. So you could see that maize field, for instance. So no irrigation, nothing.
Under rain-fed condition, there is a high vigor. There is a 3 to 4 crops for each maize. That is happened in field.
Certification procedures. So do we have any standards for this kind of natural farming?
See, one thing similar to this and organic farming is both the outputs are chemical free. So the same standards. So there is no change in the standards there.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that we should generate farmer scientists with a goal of 1 farmer scientist per village. I wanted to know whether your organization has a formal sort of curriculum, and if not, I mean, with a country like India, is it possible to have like a one-size-fits-all template? Do you tweak it according to the needs of every village? And also, is it a two-way street in that the farmers teach you as much as...
So this is for practicing farmers. It has just started. So obviously I can't answer all your questions. It will evolve. So this is 25, that means 1 week a month is classes, 3 weeks in their own field. So they have to become model farmers. So in order to get the degree, passing the examination is just one factor. So they have to show that they are able to generate monthly incomes. And we kept a very big target there, 50,000 rupees per month at the end of 4 years. So along with passing the examination, this examination is the more difficult one. That means they have to demonstrate that in their plot of land, by following all these principles, they are generating this kind of income. Then they have to develop 50 farmers in the village over 4 years. So it's and also do research in their own plot. So we also train them on the research methodology. It has just started, and we have an internship policy. Any one of you wants to come work with us for a year, most welcome. And you'll help us to develop the course better. So one person then develops 50 farmer trainers in a village over 4 years. That's all I need. And then you have, 1 per 10 trained farmer. So that's the purpose. And then shortly we'll have a university to sort of backstop all this. We are looking at this is based on the skills framework. So we've taken the equivalence from the skills framework. So there's a lot of scope for improvement. I told the students also. So this is the first time we are developing the syllabus along with you. So we don't know. The general idea, you have to pass the theory, but that's a small element. Anybody can pass. But you have to make your field as a model field. Climate resilient and show incomes. Then train 50 people. And then together, this team develops a plan for climate resilient village. So the Gram Panchayat, the women self-help groups, the farmer producer organization. So the development of a climate resilient village plan is also part of the curriculum. But any of you are most welcome to come and spend 6 months, 1 year or more with us and then join this development of the course, or you can also become a farmer and you can also get an additional postgraduate diploma. I'm serious.
No, it sounds
Fantastic.
Sir, happy to inform that the MSSRF also have taken up the natural farming project in Kulli Hills. It's amazing, the shifting from the demonstration to the scaling. It's very amazing. Now, from your vast experience, can you tell us the kind of enabling condition from the moment of demonstration to the scale? It could be from the agency perspective. You talked about the social capital is a critical function there. And do you see that the scarcity, in terms of seed or fertilizer, or what is the kind of enabling trigger that made it as a successful one?
So enabling trigger would be first the quality of the promoting organization. So how keen, who is the promoter, how keen the promoter is. To me, that's the most important quality. The second, which I find everywhere in India, is the women's collectives. So I don't think there's any state, any block, any village where women's self-help groups are not there. So you need some social capital. So according to me, the women's self-help groups are the best platform for this, taking this kind of agriculture forward. And the third is the extension system is, teaching by doing, not through textbooks or not through so-called one-day training, two-day training. No, it's teaching by doing. Mr. Nayak says teaching by doing, learning by doing. That's all. So if you have that kind of a setup, and which I am sure MSSRF already has that. Now, but if you want to scale it up, then government support is required. Government support, resources are very essential, but do not stop anybody from doing whatever they can, because by the time a government wakes up, I'm finding it difficult there also, but if you create these islands of excellence wherever you are working, and then those states will definitely be after you. That much I know. We started work in one block in Madhya Pradesh. After about 6 months, the state government came to us saying, can you take it to all the districts? So I really feel that, if MSSRF could seed it, whichever area you work, I'm sure the governments will wake up, and I'll also prod the governments, because they all look up to me to help them. But if I tell them to come in Andhra Pradesh, they'll say, "ठीक है, Andhra Pradesh में चलता है." But then if you show them in Maharashtra, show them in Odisha, we are actually having a tie-up with government of Odisha in the tribal areas. So we are already supporting governments of Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Meghalaya. So Odisha is next, Haryana, Assam. So I would be very happy if wherever you are there, and if there's any technical support, your people can be trained. See, if we can show that farmers are earning 20,000, 30,000 rupees per month, then which government will not want it? But they need to see that in action. So I think you have a very critical role in demonstrating it. So for that there are no constraints. You have your own, the intensity, or let us say the dedication of the promoting organization that is, taken for granted here. The presence of women self-help groups is there, and you already know how to work with the communities. It's just the protocols that, you can train your people. There may be some gaps, because we have, our technology keeps changing. So there's a lot of changes that we make, and we now have very good models for different agroecological situations, from the tribal areas to the delta regions and to the semi-arid areas. So there is no constraint. So definitely at some stage governments will wake up, I am sure of that. So, but you have an advantage in showing models. And so those people then become the champion farmers who can disseminate it elsewhere.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
In fact, I'm very happy to see, Professor always used to say, from green revolution to evergreen revolution. Here you have shown us a model and really taken the natural resource endowments of the region, people's participation, and also how to convert them into meaningful solutions to the problems we face. But, when we look at some of the global scenarios happening around, our neighbor Sri Lanka, went ahead and even they wanted to implement natural farming in a very big scale. In fact, they wanted to entire country need to be under natural farming, and but somewhere it really they were not able to achieve that. Very sorry for that. But what exact issues, and do we we also have similar ecologies here. Yeah. In rainfed ecosystem, it is working very well, but when it comes to mass production or large-scale production of some of our cereals and others, how you, what is the recipe you have, so that we can really go with those kind of solutions with to the farmers, rather than again start experimenting with them.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also happy to say that we are in talks with Sri Lanka. So we'll be signing an agreement with Sri Lanka to take this there. But the Sri Lankan government had other compulsions. I don't want to go into that. It is not for love of natural farming, but because they couldn't afford those fertilizers or whatever. Definitely, nobody will do it like that. It has to be done gradually. It has to be a grassroots approach. So to come to your question, we have for every agroecological situation. So in Andhra Pradesh, we have the tribal areas, very low input, high rainfall. We also have very good rainfall, and also a delta system where there are 3 crops in a year. And then we have grain crops, commercial crops, and then semi-arid. So for each region, for each district, for each crop, we have a cropping system, cropping geometry, which takes care of not only the yields, but incomes. See, the biggest problem we have is in paddy, because it's a monocrop. So whatever you say, so even there, we have introduced some innovations. We have asked farmers to widen the bunds. So 3 feet bunds, 5 feet bunds, like a L shape, and then grow vegetables there, grow papaya, grow banana, moringa. So the household nutrition. But for me, the greater the crop diversity, the better the field. And even before they take up paddy, so when they harvest the second crop, the rabi crop, sometime in April, middle of April, end of April, so just before they harvest it, they broadcast about 30 different kinds of seeds, cereals, pulses, oil seeds, spices. So this is a 45 to 60 days when that soil is nurtured. And now the farmers in the delta region are reporting much better soil quality, much better yields, very low weed problem. So there is a solution which we have to experiment with, but it comes up in any agroecological situation. We are doing some work on paddy. Hopefully after 3 months, 4 months, we'll report that we are looking at how the first 60 days you can have intercrops in paddy. And then the remaining days, already it have grown. So then the water requirement is less, there is crop diversity, there is, nutrient getting into the soil, but also the households get, green leafy vegetables, pulses. So it's I would say general principle is if we are following the universal principles of maximizing photosynthesis, crop diversity, not disturbing the soil, then depending on the agroecological situation, we can tweak it. There may be a lot of trial and error involved, but if following these principles, generally we find that we are able to get good results. May not happen in the first year, but we are getting good results for every crop. For instance, maize. You all know that maize, Rabi maize, they put in some 15 to 18 bags of fertilizers per acre. But we got higher yields in maize without applying a single bag of fertilizer. And again, the intercrops in maize. So it's just keeping in mind that there are some principles which trigger the beneficial things below ground, above ground, and so we need to work on that.
Prabha, maybe last question.
Yes. Thank you, sir, for bringing out the role of microbes,
Yeah.
their multiple functions and how they promote used in natural farming. Actually, I just want to share, here at MSSRF, we have got a very good microbiology lab where we are looking into the seed microbiome as such. With the advanced molecular techniques,
Fantastic.
we are able to explore what exactly the microbes which are present are associated with seeds. You are rightly pointing out only 1% is being explored. But with advanced technologies, we can study the remaining what microbes are associated with that. And my question was, you are using these Jivamritam or whatever inputs which are coming out from the farm. Is there a proper scientific data showing what, it's nothing but the role of the microbes. Have you generated a proper scientific data, what microbial components are there in those which contribute to the enhancing nutrient cycling in the farming systems?
There are some other people doing it, and the research that is happening now, unfortunately, is how much nitrogen is in that, how much phosphorus in that, potassium in that, but not this kind of research. And also the reason why at least we didn't feel the need to do that is we are following a general principle of encouraging diversity in microbes. But there is a case for going deeper into this. So now that we have set up our own research academy, so we'll be able to go deeper into this and would love to collaborate with you and look at the kind of work that you are doing. But yes, but it's not an easy area. So we just thought that, we should not go into the fundamentals of science, not really our mandate. But try to glean from global experience, global knowledge, Indian knowledge, what helps us in this. Because it will take a lot of time to figure out what, and also you see, can't say this microbe does this. No. This microbe in association with another microbe and in the absence of some other microbe. So the combinations and permutations are too much to really sort of fix in a typical, routines that we follow. So we thought we'll not go into that. But yes, we are, in fact, we are now recruiting microbiologists to go and work in the field. So they should become farmers first. Sure. No, this is fantastic. I mean, I didn't know about this, that the kind of work that you are doing on core microbiome, I don't think anybody in India is doing that.
That is one dimension, but our specialty is even under extreme trying conditions, for example, in a highly salinized soil, how these microbes are still fixing nitrogen.
Exactly, that's right.
So those kind of unique, aspects.
Fantastic.
And along with the ecotechnology group here, they convert these microbial technologies to be promoted as livelihood options. Landless and others. So that will be a
Fantastic.
area where if you can see and tell us how.
So sorry, sir, it's already 12:50. So, sir, we have one online question that's from our colleague Koraput. Nowadays, promoting zero tillage or minimal tillage, some soil-borne pathogen, how can we control it? Earlier advice to farmers for summer for control the soil-borne pathology, something like
Soil-borne
Soil-borne
pathology. Oh, okay, fine. So I think that really shows that there is some, dysbiosis. It can't be, the remedy cannot be worse than the disease. So there is something that needs to be done to take care of that. There is maybe there is lack of green cover. So I just can't give an answer, but definitely I know that destroying or deep tillage is not an answer. We should look at other options before we go to the extreme. I remember 20 years ago, we ourselves promoted summer ploughing to sort of expose the pupa, expose the different microbes, but I can't give a specific answer except reiterating that tillage is not an answer. Mike.
We have created the microclimate, increase the microbial activity plus mycorrhiza and earthworms. Majorly earthworms is the up to 15 feet they are staying in the depth of the soil. But we are using this Ghana Draujivamrita. Based on that one is activated. They are making the tunnels. The entire soil is making the tunnels. These vertical tunnels are entire rainwater also stored in these tunnels. There is no seepage loss also, and there is no evaporation loss. Because of that, we are make the minimum 5 crops. Up to now, we are in ATM model, we are grow to up to 18 crops in a same field, one piece of the land. We are grown the tubers and millets, pulses, all together.
Would advise that, we look at other practices that are required before saying that, okay, this is the problem and this is the solution. So, as he says, the soil aeration. If these are compact soils, then these problems will be there. So what Mr. Nayak is saying is that through these practices, soil aeration increases.
We are mainly grown the red gram like crop. Red gram is the root penetration up to 15 feet. That one is also happened in the soil, hardening of the soil also lose through this root. Thank you.
Gopi, one final question. Sir, I have a doubt that your intervention mainly focused on women's collectives. Why not men? Is there any reason behind?
No, it's women and men, but women taking the lead. Many cases we find, they come to know about it in the women's self-help groups, they go and tell their husbands. So at least in Andhra Pradesh, most of the initiative for this transformation is coming from the women, but they have to, convince their husbands. Recently, a woman told me it took her 3 years to convince her husband, but he didn't stop her. So she did her method, he did her method. So 3rd year now he considered that, okay, her method is superior. So there are, because the women's self-help group movement is strong, we'll find it easier to promote through that. Men are not I mean, see, as you know, women's role in agriculture is extremely important. So we are focusing on triggering their movement. I didn't expect a question like that from here.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm so sorry, we are running short of time. Generally, we take only 1 hour. Now it's already 1.5 hours. May I request Dr. Ranglashmi to give formal vote of thanks? Ranga, please. And to Pratibha, you can read one of our article on women as a driver of change. That that a result of our MKSP work in Maharashtra. So that gives you an answer. Thank you.
Dear sir, thank you very much for sharing the experiences of, I mean, it's a kind of 2 decades or more than 2 decades of experiences from the field, and slowly it got built up. Started with MORD experiences, then later with the available social infrastructure in the state of Andhra Pradesh, it got built up. Now also they are reaching almost 20 lakh farmers. That itself is a very, very big, I mean, success. But still, many more states are coming forward to take up natural farming as a kind of a strategy to move forward. So I hope in the coming days, more such requirements coming from states, that is one. And I came to understand from sir that other countries are also now approaching them. Like Sri Lanka, he shared experiences, but I learned Kenya is also in discussion. Some of the African countries are coming forward to take up this approach. And it is a kind of a not standard like technology kind of thing. It is an innovation. So how farmers could able to build their capacity to innovate according to their context. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences. Definitely our team will discuss further how we can take it forward and collaborate with you in the coming days. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.